Evening everyone and welcome back to the official channel of Law Prep Tutorial. Now before we start with our today's session, just do give me a tech check. Just let me know in the chat box whether I'm audible or not. Audible and visible too. Evening everyone. Evening. Audible guys? चल, all right. So let's start with our session. Okay. अब देखो आज के सेशन में विल बी प्राइमरली सॉल्विंग 3 पैसेजेस. 3 पैसेजेस आज हम अपने टाइम ड्यूरेशन में सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करेंगे. The first passage is actually based on the right to freedom of religion, that is from your constitutional law. The second passage is related to constitutional law or CLK only. And the third passage is primarily again based on constitutional law, जहाँ पर कोर्ट का एक जजमेंट है रिगार्डिंग द राइट ऑफ अडॉप्शन अंडर आर्टिकल 21 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ठीक है, तो इन चीजों से रिलेटेड हमारे पास तीनों पैसेजेस हैं. आई गेस द पैसेज इज क्लियरली विजिबल एवरीवन, राइट? पैसेज सबको क्लियरली विजिबल है, सबको दिख रहा है. ठीक है, चलो. सो let's just start reading the passage, and once you are done with this much portion of the passage, just let me know in the chat box. We'll move to the next portion. ठीक है, चल start reading the same. Done, everyone? Are we done? Done now? पढ़ लिया सबने? All right, let's move to the next portion. Done, guys? Done with the passage? Chal. So I guess the passage was clear to everyone. See, Article 25 और right to religion per se is a bit important topic. ठीक है, कॉन्स्टेंटली न्यूज में भी चलता रहता है क्योंकि रिलीजियस फ्रीडम या राइट टू रिलीजन से रिलेटेड हमारे कुछ ना कुछ टॉपिक्स इधर उधर कहीं ना कहीं न्यूज में चलते रहते हैं. तो फंडामेंटल राइट्स, आई हैव बीन सेइंग दिस राइट फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगिनिंग, इज अ बिट इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ योर पेपर. ठीक है, आई गेस द पैसेज वाज क्लियर टू एवरीवन. सो लेट्स मूव टू द क्वेश्चंस देन. जस्ट गिव मी अ सेकंड. हाँ जी, चलिए सॉल्व द फर्स्ट वन. Anji, what's the correct answer? Correct answer is, now, let's see. The question was actually saying that based on your understanding of the given passage, according to Article 25 of the Constitution, which activities related to religious practice can the state regulate? ठीक है, अब ऑप्शन बी कह रहा है एक्टिविटीज दैट इन्वॉल्व प्रोपगेशन ऑफ रिलीजन थ्रू परसुएशन एंड अवेयरनेस, दिस इज नॉट समथिंग व्हिच कैन बी रेगुलेटेड बाय द स्टेट. ठीक है, पैसेज ने क्लियरली दे दिया था कि भाई व्हेन इट कम्स टू द सेक्युलर अफेयर्स व्हिच आर रिलेटेड टू द मैटर्स ऑफ रिलीजन, है ना, सेक्युलर प्रैक्टिसेस जो आपकी हैं या जो सेक्युलर अफेयर्स हैं व्हिच आर एसोसिएटेड विद द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ रिलीजन, दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच कैन बी रेगुलेटेड बाय द स्टेट. यस और नो? And therefore the correct answer over here was, the correct answer was not option D. क्योंकि अगेन रिलीजियस रिचुअल्स को आप रेगुलेट कर सकते हो थ्रू द स्टेट was not something which was given by the passage. And therefore the correct answer over here was option A, that activities related to any religious practice that involve economic, political, financial aspects or secular activities are the one which can be regulated by the state. ठीक है, so the correct answer over here was option A. Clear? Everyone? Clear? Chal, let's move to the next one. Now, just a second. Yeah. Second question read karo. Anji, what's the correct answer in question number 2? Correct, correct, correct. See, the question was that ABC University was a well-known college in Gujarat that offered computer science courses. The university was administered out of state funds and was ranked third in India in the field of computer science. However, because the majority of its faculty members and students were of Hindu belief, the university used to provide Hindu religious teachings, wherein students were required to sing the Hindu prayer before beginning their classes at the school and read the passage and determine if the university is entitled to impart such religious instructions. So when it comes to a kind of an institution which is state run, right, it was something which was substantially financed by the state because the university was actually administered out of state funds. और जहां पर स्टेट फंड्स यूटिलाइज हो रहे हैं वहां पर रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शंस नहीं दिए जा सकते. देयर इज एन एब्सोल्यूट बार, देयर आर सर्टेन एक्सेप्शंस, बट यहां पर वो एक्सेप्शन की कैटेगरी फॉल नहीं कर रही थी. And therefore, the correct answer over here was option B, that taking into consideration the fact that the university was maintained out of state funds, it cannot impart any particular religious instructions. Okay? Clear? Everyone? Chali. Let's move to the next one. Chali. Solve the third one. Anji, the answer is correct. Correct. So the question over here was that Sukriti, a Hindu Brahmin, met Irfan while studying at XYZ University of Medical Science and developed a close relationship. After graduating, they intended to get married, but Sukriti asked Irfan to convert to Hinduism or her family would not accept their marriage. Now she compelled him and threatened to end their relationship. So after 2 weeks of deliberation, Irfan decided to convert to Hinduism. Determine whether Sukriti is entitled to exercise her right to freedom of religion in such a manner. So any kind of a conversion which is taking place through compulsion is not something which is a proper exercise of a right to freedom of religion, right? And therefore the correct answer over here was option C, that as the right to convert another is not inherent in the fundamental right to freedom of religion, Sukriti's decision was not appropriate. अब सेकंड क्वेश्चन में क्या डाउट आ रहा है बेटा आप लोगों को? What's the doubt? Because the university was maintained out of the state funds, तो हमने यही तो कहा है कि it cannot impart any religious instructions. That's what we are saying in question number 2. अब state funds के अंडर ही वो administer की जा रही थी. कुछ exceptional situations होती हैं wherein if an institution or if an institution is established under any endowment or trust, अगर trust के अंडर कोई established institution है ना, भले ही वो state administer करे, ठीक है, भले ही वो स्टेट एडमिनिस्टर करे, बट अगर वहां पर एंडाउमेंट में ट्रस्ट में अगर वो इंस्टीट्यूशन बनाए तो फिर वो रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शन दे सकता है. बट यहां पर सीधे सीधे ये चीज थी कि भाई ये इंस्टीट्यूशन वाज एडमिनिस्टर्ड आउट ऑफ द स्टेट फंड्स, तो जब स्टेट फंड्स उस इंस्टीट्यूशन में खर्च हो रहे हैं वहां पर आप रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं दे सकते. एंड देयरफॉर द आंसर वाज बी ओनली. सीधा सीधा आंसर ही तो बी था. ठीक है, इसका आइडिया बेटा गुड़िया मुझे है नहीं, तो आई वुड सजेस्ट यू कैन कॉन्टैक्ट विद द बैक एंड टीम ऑफ द लॉ प्रेप ट्यूटोरियल. ठीक है, चलिए लेट्स मूव टू द फोर्थ क्वेश्चन. जस्ट गिव मी अ सेकंड. यस, चलो फोर्थ सॉल्व करो. हाँ जी, the answer in the fourth one is correct, correct, correct. So the question was that Gurpreet was a follower of Sikhism who professed faith in Guru Granth Sahib as superior. While in college, he enlightened his classmates about the intricate details of the Sikh religion. He explained everything about the Sikh religion, including how they do not believe in idol worship. He used to have religious discussions with his friends all the time and had also taken them to Gurdwara multiple times. Within 3 years, two of his Christian friends decided to convert to Sikhism. Determine whether Gurpreet exercised his right to freedom of religion in a correct manner. So the answer is yes. यहाँ पर ना तो कोई फ्रॉड है, ना ही कोई कंपल्शन है, ना ही किसी तरीके का इंड्यूसमेंट है ना. Therefore, the correct answer over here was option C, that since Gurpreet adhered to the right to freedom of religion available under Article 25(1), his actions cannot be challenged. ठीक है, चलिए let's move to the next one. Now, fifth question is a statement based question. Just read this much, then we'll move to the next one. ठीक है, पीडीएफ कहाँ मिलेगी बेटा? ये मैं सेशन के एंड में आप लोगों को बता दूंगा. Done? Everyone? Done? All right. Anji, what's the correct answer? The answer is, now let's see the question. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन देखते हैं भाई कि यहां पर हो क्या रहा था. Now, St. John's Convent School was established in 1991 under the Christian Trusts and Endowments Act of 1995 and was administered by the state. The act allowed Christians to establish any educational institution for Christian minority, and as a result of this, the school offered instructions in Christianity. The students were required to offer their morning and afternoon prayers to Jesus, and a rigorous Christian dress code was imposed. Furthermore, on every alternate Saturday, students were required to attend a 2-hour class held within the church premises. Additionally, the school only admitted Christian students. Now read the passage carefully and determine whether the school authority exercised their right to freedom of religion as available in the constitution or not. अब यहां पर the correct answer over here was option D. That is, none of the statements which are given over here were correct. देखो, general rule क्या है? General rule of law is that any educational institution which is administered out of state funds cannot give any kind of religious instructions over there. ठीक है, अगर इंस्टीट्यूशन स्टेट फंड से मैनेज हो रहा है तो वहां पर आप रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शंस नहीं दे सकते. बट एक एक्सेप्शन बनाया गया था कि जहां पर अगर किसी ट्रस्ट या एंडाउमेंट में आपने किसी इंस्टीट्यूशन को स्टैब्लिश किया है जो भले ही सिर्फ स्टेट चला रहा है, स्टेट एडमिनिस्टर कर रहा है, वहां पर रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए जा सकते हैं. तो यहां पर जो इंस्टीट्यूशन हमारा इन्वॉल्व था, दिस इंस्टीट्यूशन वाज एक्चुअली established under the Christian Trust and Endowment Act of 1995. I'm so sorry, right? अब इसको स्टेट एडमिनिस्टर कर रहा था, तो वहां पे क्या उसके रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शंस देना गलत है? नहीं है, अलाउड है. अब हमें ये देखना है कि रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शंस परमिट करने का हमारे पास कोई स्टेटमेंट है या नहीं है. स्टेटमेंट 1 हमसे कह रहा है, जस्ट गिव मी अ सेकंड, हाँ, स्टेटमेंट 1 हमसे कह रहा है, taking into account the fact that the school consisted of only Christian students, it can impart such religious instruction. पैसेज ने ये कहा क्या कि भाई जिस कम्युनिटी के बच्चे हैं उस हिसाब से आप रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शन दे सकते हो. दिस इज नॉट अ पॉसिबल रीजनिंग. सो स्टेटमेंट 1 हमारा करेक्ट नहीं था. स्टेटमेंट 2 was by only allowing admission to Christian students, the school exceeded in exercising its right to freedom of religion. किसको एडमिशन देना है, किसको नहीं देना है, उस चीज को लेकर हमारा पैसेज साइलेंट था. स्टेटमेंट 2 भी हटा दो. स्टेटमेंट 3 कह रहा है, irrespective of the fact that the school was established under a trust, it must not compel all the students to follow the tenets of Christianity. जहां पर ट्रस्ट या एंडाउमेंट में इंस्टीट्यूशन स्टैब्लिश हुआ है वहां पर इट कैन इंपार्ट रिलीजियस इंस्ट्रक्शंस. तो स्टेटमेंट 3 भी इनकरेक्ट था. एंड स्टेटमेंट 4 वाज सेइंग दैट सिंस द स्कूल वाज बीइंग एडमिनिस्टर्ड आउट ऑफ स्टेट फंड्स, फैक्चुअल सिचुएशन ने कहीं पे कहा ही नहीं कि स्कूल स्टेट फंड्स के थ्रू एडमिनिस्टर हो रहा था. इतना लिखा है कि स्कूल वाज एडमिनिस्टर्ड बाय द स्टेट, बट वो स्टेट फंड से ही रेगुलेट हो रहा हो, ये चीज तो हम इंप्लाई नहीं कर सकते. तो स्टेटमेंट 4 वाज आल्सो नॉट करेक्ट, एंड देयरफॉर द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर वाज ऑप्शन डी, दैट नन ऑफ द स्टेटमेंट्स आर करेक्ट. ठीक है, क्लियर एवरीवन? चल, ऑलराइट, लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट पैसेज. नाउ द सेकंड पैसेज व्हिच वी हैव is based on Article 21 and Article 22 of the Constitution, which are about rights of the accused. ठीक है, चलिए भाई. I guess the passage is clearly visible everyone, है ना? Passage सबको clearly visible होगा, तो चलो भाई, start reading the passage. Done, everyone? Done? Sure. Let's move forward. Done, everyone? Done? Sure. Let's move to the questions. चलिए भाई, solve the first one. Anji, the answer is correct. Correct. So the question was that which of the following rights is guaranteed under Article 22 of the Indian Constitution to the person who has been arrested? So the correct answer over here was option C, that is right to be informed of the grounds of arrest and to consult a legal practitioner of his or her own choice. Okay, chal, let's move to the second one. Solve the second question. Anji, the answer is correct. Correct. So the question was that how does the requirement to produce an arrested person before a magistrate within 24 hours protect the rights of the accused? So the correct answer over here was option A, by ensuring that the accused cannot be detained indefinitely by the police without judicial oversight. Okay, chaliye, let's move to the next one. Solve the third one. The answer is correct. Correct. The question was that why is the right to remain silent considered a crucial safeguard against self-incrimination in the criminal justice system? So the correct reason for that thing is that it actually protects the individuals from being compelled to provide evidence against themselves, preserving their right to fair trial. Okay, chaliye bhai. Let's move to the next one. Now, solve the next one. Anji, the answer is correct. 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 So the question was that under section 47 of BNSS, what rights does an individual have when arrested without a warrant for a bailable offense? So the correct answer over here was option C, that Constable Pradeep informs me during his arrest for a bailable offense that he has a right to arrange sureties for the release. Chal. Let's move to the next one. Anji, the answer is sure. Dekho. The question was that Yagnik committed robbery and managed to escape. After a case was filed against him, the police arrested him and took him to the nearest magistrate. However, he was brought before the magistrate 30 hours after his arrest because the location from where he was arrested was 8 hours away from the magistrate's office. Now determine whether the procedure followed by the police in this case was valid. ठीक है, उसको प्रेजेंट किया आपने 30 आवर्स के बाद. ट्रैवल ड्यूरेशन था आपके पास 8 घंटे का, तो उसके बाद भी 22 आवर्स का टाइमलाइन तो फिर भी अवेलेबल था ना कि आप उसको प्रेजेंट कर सकते थे. 8 घंटे का ड्यूरेशन अगर आपको लग भी गया, ठीक है, तो भी आपके पास 24 में से 16 घंटे फिर भी बच रहे थे, और 30 में से आप 8 हटा दो तो भी 22 घंटे का ड्यूरेशन आपने वहां पर लिया है. एंड देयरफॉर द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर वाज ऑप्शन बी, that the procedure was not followed correctly as the accused must be presented before the magistrate within 24 hours of the arrest. ठीक है, चलिए भाई, let's move to the next passage. Now, the third passage is basically a judgment-based passage which is discussing about the issue of right of adoption. ठीक है, चलो, start reading the passage. Done, everyone? Done? All right. Let's move forward. Done? Done? चल, done? चल, let's move to the questions then. चलो, first solve करिए. हाँ जी, what's the correct answer? Correct, correct. Very good. So the question was that which of the following accurately reflects the principles stated in the passage regarding the right to adopt children and the changes to the adoption rules in India. So the correct statement over here was statement number C, that the changes to the adoption rules were made to ensure that more children with special needs are adopted, reflecting a balanced approach towards adoption. Okay? Chaliye bhai. Let's move to the next one. Solve the second one. Anji, the answer is correct, correct, correct. So the question was that Raj and Radhika, just a second, yeah, Raj and Radhika got married in 2018, had their first child in 2020 when they decided to expand their family by having a second child. It was discovered that Radhika was not physically capable of giving birth again, and consequently the couple decided to opt for adoption of a normal child. Given these circumstances, do you think that they have a right to proceed with adopting a child? So the answer is yes, that since the couple has only one biological child, they are entitled to adopt a normal child as well. Okay? Chaliye, let's move to the next one. Sure. Solve the third one. Beta, when people have two or more than two normal childs, then they are required to adopt क्या कहना चाहिए, a child with special needs, है ना? बट उनके पास तो एक ही नॉर्मल चाइल्ड था, इस वजह से आप उनको एक और नॉर्मल चाइल्ड अडॉप्ट करने से रोक नहीं सकते. ठीक है? हाँ जी, the answer is correct, correct, correct. So the question was that in 2021, Shruti and Ronak decided to apply for adoption despite already having twin children of their own. They specifically wished to adopt a normal child and their initial application was accepted. However, following the introduction of the new regulations in 2022, their application was subsequently cancelled. Now, under the revised rules, they were only eligible to adopt a child with special needs. Comment. So the answer is yes. क्योंकि अब आपके पास वहां पर जब दो नॉर्मल चाइल्ड हैं, तो जजमेंट ऑफ पैसेज के हिसाब से एंड रूल्स के हिसाब से subsequently if you want to adopt, you are only eligible to adopt a child with special needs. And therefore the correct answer over here was that since the couple already has two biological children, they are required to adopt a child with special needs. ठीक है? चलिए, let's move to the next one. This is again a statement based question. So just read the statements and then we'll move to the options. Okay? Start reading the question. Shrey, the passage clearly mentioned that these rules were supposed to be applied retrospectively. ये कहना कि रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव एप्लीकेशन नहीं हो सकता, दैट वोंट मेक एनी सेंस बेटा. The steering committee of the CARA also made it clear that the rules which were subsequently enacted in the year 2022 were given a retrospective application. एंड जब रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव एप्लीकेशन है तो फिर इनके ऊपर भी वही चीज अप्लाई होगी. ठीक है. Right. Along with your option, do write the number of the statements as well, which are correct according to you. ठीक है. आप जो भी मार्क कर रहे हो उसके साथ साथ just mention your statements as well. Anji, what's the correct answer? Correct. देखो क्वेश्चन क्या था हमारे पास, that Tisha and Mayur were unable to have a biological children since Tisha was not medically fit to conceive. Consequently, the couple decided to adopt one male and one female child. Now, both the adopted children had disabilities. One was deaf and the other did not have an arm. Do you think that the couple is eligible to proceed with this adoption? So, obviously, so there were two statements which are correct over here, statement number 1 and statement number 3, that since the updated adoption rules do not apply to this case, the couple is eligible to proceed with the adoption because they did not have any child of their own, right? And subsequently, given that the couple intends to adopt two children with special needs, their decision should not face any interference. And therefore, the correct answer over here was that both statement 1 and 3 were correct over here. Okay? Chaliye. So we have time as well. So let's move to another passage. Now the next passage is again a judgment based passage which is about the right to reside and settle within the territory of India. ठीक है. Delhi High Court का judgment है article 19 and the availability of article 19 to the foreigners को लेकर. तो इस passage को और read करना शुरू करो, इसको भी हम solve कर लेते हैं. ठीक है. चलो start reading the passage. Done? Everyone? Done? All right. Let's move to the next one. Done. Done. Sure. Let's move to the questions then. Solve the first one. Anji, the answer is correct. Correct. So the question was, what did the Delhi High Court conclude regarding the right of a foreign national to reside or settle in India under Article 19(1)(e) of the Constitution, and what specific legal provisions were mentioned in the passage? So the correct answer over here was option C, that the court emphasized that a suspected foreigner's fundamental rights are confined to Article 21, and the passage mentions 3(2)(e) of the Foreigners Act of 1946. Okay, chali. Let's move to the next one. Solve the second one. यार लास्ट 2 साल के पेपर के पैटर्न को देखोगे तो एज सच लीगल रीजनिंग में कोई डिफिकल्टी लेवल कुछ बचा नहीं है बहुत ज्यादा, है ना. सो आई डोंट थिंक सो कि इफ यू हैव हैड इनफ अमाउंट ऑफ प्रैक्टिस तो आई डोंट थिंक सो एज सच पेपर प्रॉब्लमैटिक होगा. If you were thorough with your reading of the current legal affairs along with the concepts of the statics, so legal reasoning would be a piece of cake for you. Nothing difficult as such. Anji, what's the correct answer in question number 2? Dekho. So we have confusion between B and C. The question is saying that Ritu was an Indian citizen, but after being transferred to London for work, she decided to renounce her Indian citizenship and gets the British citizenship. So once she had taken up the citizenship of Britain, तो अब वो foreigner बन चुकी है as per the act. Now, after a few months, COVID spread throughout the United Kingdom, making it difficult for her to live there. Therefore, Ritu wanted to relocate to India because Indian states had yet not been infected with COVID, determine whether she possesses such a right. So the answer is no. Right? क्योंकि अब आप foreigner बन चुके हो तो you cannot claim Article 19(1)(e) of the Constitution. And therefore, the correct answer, as a foreign national, Ritu cannot exercise her right to reside in India as she deems fit. And while a foreign national does not have a right to reside in India, an exemption can be made in circumstances of force majeure. पैसेज ने कुछ ऐसा एक्सेप्शन आपको बताया जो हमने क्लॉज सी में यहाँ पर एक्सेप्शन मेंशन किया है, क्या वो पैसेज में आपका गिवन था? नहीं. एंड देयरफॉर द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर वाज ऑप्शन बी, दैट इज द करेक्ट वन. ठीक है, चल लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. हाँ जी, थर्ड सॉल्व करिए. हाँ जी, what's the correct answer? Correct answer is no. Let's look at the question. The question says that Gitika relocated to Canada after marrying Rohan. She was also granted Canadian citizenship. When she returned to India to see her parents, she was not permitted to use street number 96 at night because the area remained closed to pedestrians after 8 pm. Now she intends to exercise her right to life or right to liberty under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution in this case. Give your suggestions. See, the foreigners were given Article 21 of the Constitution, but along with its limitation. Yes or no? एब्सोल्यूट फंडामेंटल फ्रीडम ऑफ लिबर्टी आपको थोड़ी ना दिया गया था. आपको आर्टिकल 21 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का प्रोटेक्शन गिवन है, बट सब्जेक्ट टू इट्स ओन लिमिटेशंस. अब यहां पर एक पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रीट समथिंग इट इज क्लोज्ड फॉर ऑल द पेडेस्ट्रियंस. ठीक है, सारे ही पेडेस्ट्रियंस के लिए वो क्लोज्ड है. अब यहां पर क्या वो अपना कोई अलग से एक्सेप्शन क्लेम कर पा रही है? और लिमिटेशंस के साथ आपको आर्टिकल 21 दिया है. तो सिंस फॉरेन नेशनल्स हैव राइट टू लाइफ एंड लिबर्टी, गीतिका कैन एनफोर्स. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि एब्सोल्यूट वे में आर्टिकल 21 वहां पर गिवन नहीं था. ठीक है, बी कह रहा है कि शी कैन एक्सरसाइज अ राइट टू लिबर्टी इन दिस केस बिकॉज शी वाज डिस्क्रिमिनेटेड अगेंस्ट. भाई सारे ही पेडेस्ट्रियंस के लिए क्लोज की गई है ना, सिर्फ फॉरेनर्स के लिए तो क्लोज नहीं किया गया उसको. एंड देयरफॉर द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर वाज ऑप्शन सी, दैट गीतिका डज नॉट हैव द परमिशन टू एनफोर्स हर राइट टू लाइफ और राइट टू लिबर्टी बिकॉज देयर आर नो वैलिड ग्राउंड्स फॉर द सेम. ठीक है, सो द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर वाज ऑप्शन सी. चलिए भाई, let's move to the next one. Now, fourth is a statement based question. पहले इसको read कर लो, then we'll look at the options. ठीक है, चलो start reading the question. हाँ जी, are we done? Everyone done? चलो, what's the correct answer over here? क्या करेक्ट आंसर है भाई? The answer is B. And the statements over here? Correct. Correct, correct. See, the question was that Bhagat traveled to India to visit his friends. He discovered that one of his friends had recently gone bankrupt and had no money. He gave him some financial assistance, but it was insufficient. So all the three friends agreed to commit a robbery, but Bhagat refused to participate. Nevertheless, his friends were able to persuade him. Unfortunately, they were all caught and were taken into custody. Bhagat alleges that as a foreign national, his right to life and personal liberty was violated. Do you concur with this claim? So the answer is no. सबने प्लान बनाया, सबको पकड़ा गया, और जब सबको पकड़ा गया है तो देयर इज नो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ नेशनैलिटी, एंड बिकॉज यू कमिटेड एन ऑफेंस तो सब्सिक्वेंटली यू कैन नॉट क्लेम आर्टिकल 21 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, एंड देयरफॉर द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर वाज ऑप्शन बी, दैट टू स्टेटमेंट्स आर करेक्ट. दैट वाज स्टेटमेंट नंबर 3 एंड स्टेटमेंट नंबर 4. ठीक है, चलिए भाई, लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. हाँ जी, सॉल्व द लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ द डे. हाँ जी, व्हाट्स द करेक्ट आंसर? करेक्ट. The answer over here is beta option D. देखो, Nathan was a European citizen who traveled to India with his cousins. They made the decision to spend 1 week in India, and so they made all their reservations before arriving in India. They arrived in India on December 28th. However, on December 31st, they received a notice asking that they return to Europe. They were disappointed with the Indian government's decision because no acceptable explanations was provided to them. Determine whether they have any legal recourse in this matter. So the answer is no, and the correct answer over here was option D. Because the passage clearly mentioned that the central government is having an absolute authority to deport a particular individual or to refuse a particular individual for staying in this country. Yes or no? Passage में clearly ये mentioned था. अगर explanation नहीं दिया होता तो वो आर्टिकल 21 में अपन मान लेते कि that is violation of आर्टिकल 21 of the constitution. Explanation तो दिया था उन्होंने. It was not a satisfactory explanation or acceptable explanation to them. उन्हें वो चीज एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं लग रही है जो एक्सप्लेनेशन गवर्नमेंट दे रही है. एक्सप्लेनेशन तो दिया गया है, अब एक्सप्लेनेशन चाहे जो भी दिया गया हो, हमें नहीं पता. फैक्ट इज साइलेंट. पैसेज के हिसाब से द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इज हैविंग एन एब्सोल्यूट अथॉरिटी टू एक्चुअली आस्क अ पर्सन टू लीव द कंट्री, and therefore the correct answer over here was that Nathan and his friends have no legal recourse because the Indian government's discretion is unlimited in this situation. ठीक है? Clear? Everyone? Clear? देखो, ये एक्सेप्टेबल वाली चीज ना मैंने जानबूझ के यहां पर ऐड करवाई थी. उसका रीजन क्या है कि अगर तुमने 2023 का पेपर देखा होगा जिसमें अनरियल और एक गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर या ट्विटर का एक चैलेंज था रिगार्डिंग द ब्लॉकिंग ऑर्डर्स, उस पैसेज को देखोगे तो उस पैसेज का फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन था जिसमें वहां पर गवर्नमेंट ने रीजन तो दिए थे बट वेबसाइट को वो रीजन सैटिस्फैक्टरी नहीं लग रहे थे, इंटरमीडिएरी को वो रीजन सैटिस्फैक्टरी नहीं लग रहे थे. एंड दैट वाज अ काइंड ऑफ अ ट्रैप फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स, क्योंकि हर स्टूडेंट को लगा कि अगर रीजन सैटिस्फैक्टरी नहीं है मतलब वायलेशन हो रहा है लॉ का. बट आंसर क्या था वहां पर कि वो ब्लॉकिंग ऑर्डर जस्टिफाइड था. व्हाई? बिकॉज देयर वाज अ रीजन व्हिच वाज गिवन अलोंग विद दैट. अब वो सैटिस्फैक्टरी तुम्हारे लिए है या नहीं उस बात से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, क्योंकि पैसेज ने आपके रीजन को सैटिस्फैक्टरी होने के लिए जरूरी नहीं कहा, रीजन होना चाहिए, इतनी सी बात कही थी. ठीक है? क्लियर है? इफ दे वुड हैव नॉट गिवन एनी एक्सप्लेनेशन तब फिर हम कह सकते थे कि 21 का वायलेशन है. ठीक है? तब हम कह सकते थे कि 21 का वायलेशन है. ठीक, चलो. सो दैट्स इट फ्रॉम माय साइड फॉर टुडे. आज के सेशन के लिए इतना ही. चारों पैसेजेस के टॉपिक मेरे ख्याल से समझ में आ गए होंगे. अगेन द सिमिलर सजेशन आई वुड गिव कि प्लीज फंडामेंटल राइट्स रिलेटेड अपने सारे इश्यूज को प्रॉपरली पढ़ लेना और फंडामेंटल राइट से रिलेटेड जितने करंट के तुम्हें एसोसिएटेड टॉपिक्स दिख रहे हो उन सारे टॉपिक्स को भी प्रॉपरली कवर कर लेना. ठीक है? बिकॉज दैट इज वन सच थीम जिसपे कंसोर्शियम बार बार क्वेश्चंस पूछता रहता है. ठीक है? तो बाकी आज के लिए इतना ही. रेस्ट, तबीयत वगैरह का ध्यान रखो, आराम से पढ़ाई करो. वील मीट इन अनदर सेशन. तब तक के लिए बाय बाय. Just take care of yourself, enjoy your day, and just keep studying. ठीक है? चल. Thank you so much everyone. Thank you so much guys. Thank you so much.